haven't muzzleloader hunted the last few seasons. I haven't been taking advantage of it, and I'm excited to be out here today.
This week on Kentucky Afield.
Deer right over here to the left, 40 yards.
While many of the state's hunters are taking to the woods for modern firearm season, we're going to show you how our early muzzleloader hunt unfolded. Next, deer hunting is what's on most people's minds, but it's not the only opportunity that's out there. This is a great time to catch smallmouth bass as well.
Here's the right color. There you go.
Then, we're making one of everybody's favorites, and that's venison jerky. It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Such a pretty fish. Beautiful. This pond is plumb loaded with frogs.
They're everywhere in here. Yeah, this is a good fish right here. Really good fish.
Come here, girl. Hey, boy. That's a big rabbit. Nice job. Yes! Yes! My first muskie. Mercy, Leo!
Yeah, look at it. It's a keeper.
There it goes. Boom! Oh!
Wow, that happened fast.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. Are you wanting to get into deer hunting and you'd like to maximize your time in the woods using only one gun? Well, the muzzleloader may be the perfect choice for you. Well, I'm out here for the afternoon hunt for the opening day of the early muzzleloader season. We've been seeing a lot of deer. Was able to move a stand and get set up down in a corner of this field where the deer have been using it a ton. There's bedding areas on both sides. Got in here this morning, got set up, ended up seeing quite a few deer, had many deer in range, but I didn't see that buck that I've been waiting for. I did see a pretty good buck right in that area where I placed this stand, but I was bow hunting, I was 300 or 400 yards away. Now I'm right in the zone. Today I hunted until 11 o'clock this morning, and I had does in range literally when I got down out of the stand. I didn't want to shoot a doe in this bedding area because the area where they're going in there, I didn't want to go in there to get a doe out. Now, if I get in there this afternoon and a doe comes out early and gives me a chance to get a shot out in the field, I'll probably take that shot and then go back and buck hunt till dark. I know the bucks are in there, but a shot early in the hunt, I don't think will mess with that too much. You know, I did have a coyote come through this morning. I thought about trying to get a shot at that coyote, but I really didn't want the smell of that coyote right there laying by my stand the whole time. So pretty cool seeing. Been seeing tons of wildlife out of this location. It's a pretty easy walk in, but I gotta go through a little bedding area to get there. I gotta slip through real quiet, get up in this field edge, and literally with a muzzleloader, I am about 180 yards to the property boundary. It's a pretty big open area for a muzzleloader hunt. It's absolutely perfect. I haven't muzzleloader hunted the last few seasons. I haven't been taking advantage of it, and I'm excited to be out here today.
Well, we're up here, ready to start this hunt. I tell you what, I'm about as confident in today's hunt as I have ever been, just because how many times I've hunted the other end of this field 400 yards away, and I've never hunted down there without seeing deer right here. So hopefully get one out here early, get a shot, take a doe, and buck hunt the rest of the way out. That would be ideal. Oh deer, right over here to the left, 40 yards. Looks like there's 4. Here they come. There's doe in the front. She looks to be probably the biggest one. Okay, here she goes. She's gonna move to her left. I'm surprised to see that deer run off, but a big smoke cloud came up. I really don't know what happened. Hopefully, we've got dinner on the ground, so now we can just hunt for some antlers. tell you what, this buck hunt's about over. We got a few minutes of daylight left. And I gotta unload this gun. I can't hunt tomorrow. If I get a chance to take this big doe here, I'll probably take it. If I'm gonna process one, you might as well process two. Well, I tell you what, usually we eat about 4 or 5 deer a year. This puts me in a good situation where I know from here on out, I am buck hunting and buck hunting only. Hopefully, get to use that buck tag. I thought this was a great opportunity to do that today. Just didn't show up. I ran out of light.
Well, found my 2 does. They actually ran on the same trail within 20 yards of each other, so I pulled them together here. My trophy buck never showed up. We did see a couple small bucks, nothing that I was that interested in. And I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I can't hunt tomorrow. Muzzleloader season's only 2 days. I thought, you know what? This is a great opportunity for me to unload my muzzleloader, go ahead and fill the freezer, top it off, and now I can focus the rest of the season on some antlers. Here today with Captain McQuarrie. How you doing?
Great, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, there are so many great activities here in the state of Kentucky that you can do on the water year-round. But man, when that water gets cold, there's some things you really need to think about.
You're exactly right, Chad. You want to make sure you do that pre-launch check. Make sure your boat's properly maintained, make sure you have the proper amount of fuel, and always make sure you let somebody know where you're launching and where your location is that you're going to be planning on going.
I tell you what, if you fall in the water and it's cold water conditions, man, you got to make some decisions really quick to try to get yourself out of that water and back to normal temperature.
You sure do. The first thing you're going to encounter is cold water shock. You have to be prepared for that because most likely you're going to gasp. That's your reflex, and if you're underwater, you could take in water. The next thing you need to start thinking about is the time limit that you have to get out of the water. Typically, we tell people 30 minutes at a maximum. The second thing you need to think about is hypothermia. Again, you're in that 30-minute mark depending on how you're dressed. And lastly, you need to take precautions once you get out of the water, those post-rescue issues that you may encounter coming from cold water and getting back out and getting your body back to its normal body temperature.
Summertime, wintertime, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is have a PFD, right?
Have your PFD. Make sure you wear your kill switch lanyard and make sure you have a PFD. Have it on. You can't be too prepared because accidents do happen and you may enter the water unexpectedly. Make sure your PFD fits properly and it is too properly maintained.
And I'll tell you what, if you're in a bass boat or a fishing boat that's more than a couple years old, there's a good chance it may not have a ladder on it.
You're exactly right. You do want to have that plan. You have to be careful that you don't look at the bank and immediately swim to the bank if you have a boat closer that you can get into, but you must have a ladder because it can be difficult to get into.
I love cold water fishing, and there's a lot of fun activities you can do out on the lake, and it's just a great place to be for leisure activities, but you have to take precaution.
You're exactly right. Safety's number one.
Well, thank you, and we hope everyone has a very safe winter boating season.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah. Go.
There's what we come looking for right there.
If you take the proper safety precautions, wintertime fishing could be your most productive time on the water.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
Now this is it's a fantastic lake to catch, good sized smallmouth and trophy smallmouth. Obviously the world record from here, but this lake gets a lot of pressure now.
Yeah.
To come here and try to catch a 8 or 9, 10 pounder, I mean, that's a fish of a lifetime. I've fished this lake a lot and I've never broken 8 pounds. And I don't know if I've had a 7 pounder, but the lake is fishing really, really, really good right now.
Yes.
So hopefully, I'm gonna try to throw some swim baits, some jigs, maybe some blade baits, but I'm gonna start throwing a swim bait and see if we can't catch some fish. What do you think?
We can do it. Let's go.
All right. I will tell you, this time of year, our water temperature is 46 degrees. It's all about a real slow presentation. And a lot of times, when we catch fish down here this time of year, the bites are not aggressive. It doesn't feel like you're catching a 4-pound fish when you first get a bite. It feels like you're getting a bluegill just pecking it. And you're like, man, these little fish are driving me nuts. Well, they're not little fish.
Yeah.
They're big fish. There we go. There you go. Now, you want to establish a food source? Check this out.
How about that?
Now, you think they're actively feeding? There's a mouth that's plumb full of shad.
Chad, how about that?
We got about an 18-inch fish there. We've been here 5 minutes. We now know they're feeding on shad actively, and we're setting in between 35 and 40 feet of water, and we're catching fish in 15 to 18 feet. So, hey, now we're on to something. We just run around and do this all day.
You need a net?
I don't think he's that big. Sometimes they get bigger when they get to the boat, though. Not a bad fish. He's a lot fatter than the last one. That's a healthy fish there.
Yeah.
That's a thicker fish than the last one.
Yep.
Probably about the same length. You know, we're looking at that 18, 19-inch fish. 18 and a little bit. You would expect a fish that size when it hits your bait to just about pull your paw out of your hand.
Yep.
That was it. That was it.
June they will, 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, they absolutely will. It'll get a little bigger. So when you first started fishing down here, how often did you guys throw soft plastics?
We was throwing mostly a spinnerbait. I fished with Ernie Taylor. He guided down here quite a bit. And when we first started fishing down here, we would find the grass and get out right at the very end of it at 25, 28 foot deep. And then we went to different times jig or the plastic.
We got a rod bender.
Yeah, he was way out here. Oh, I didn't get that little brownie. I believe I found one of them old largemouth.
Oh, sure did. How did you do that?
Very carefully.
Typically, for me, it's about one largemouth for every 20 smallmouth, but...
Well, you wouldn't leave me no smallmouth, so I just had to catch a largemouth. Next.
Hey, we need your brown cousin. That's pretty healthy fish, though.
Turn it loose. I'm gonna get this 10-pounder out here.
All right.
Well, oh, there you go.
Goes. You might want to grab the net on this one, Daryl, if you don't mind. How can you believe that? So I cast it up in here, and there's a lot of rock that's pretty easy to get hung on. Hooked on that rock, was shaking that off and got on the back side, and when I snapped it free, I thought Daryl would hook my line because I felt it make that motion. Went ahead and set the hook, and that's what hit it. 20 and a little more and a half. Almost,
Nice.
almost 21 inches.
Nice.
That's a really good fish right there. Get that one back in the water.
Yep.
What I'm throwing here is just this little, it's a 3/8 ounce tungsten lure. Throwing this little swim bait here. I'm throwing this exposed. Run this bait on there. And these swing impact fats have a little area where you bring your hook up through. What this thing does is it goes down and it sets, and when I start to pull it, it comes up like this. And very little motion will get that tail making this move. And then I'll pull it across the bottom, I'll stand it back up. The reason it doesn't feel like a big strike is because those fish, it's catching their attention, and they're just picking it up. And when they pick it up, you'll feel something very, very slight. If you're not using a really sensitive rod and fluorocarbon line, you may not feel it at all. You'll just all of a sudden notice there's no bait. When that happens, then you've had a strike. Uh-oh. Ooh. Need a net?
I don't know. I don't know what I need. I don't know. Here's a little
yeah.
It's the right color.
10-pound test line, you might.
He's the right color.
There you go.
Yeah, he's out here deep. He's out here out pulling real, so boy, look how light colored he is.
Now I'll tell you, we've ran all over the lake today, and we've pulled back in. We can literally see the boat ramp, fishing some grass, and here they sit. They're right here beside us. That's a nice fish, though.
Yeah.
Like I say, and you see that this time of year. You start to see when they come up. You'll see some that are really colored up, and then you'll get a really pale colored fish like this. And these are fish that have been in deep dark,
water,
cold
just coming
water,
up.
and they're just coming up.
Thank you there, little fish.
He was ready to get going. Oh, missed him. Just got pulverized. Oh, came back and hit it, get ready. Look at that. That's when they're starting to get more aggressive right there. When you swing on one and miss, and he comes running back and hits it again, that's when you know they're starting to get aggressive. Daryl, this might be a pretty good fish. Whoa! Grab that net there if you don't mind.
Oh, I just happened to have it this time. Yeah, this old boy ain't going nowhere.
Thank you.
That is a nice one there.
Now this one here,
That's the best one of the day.
this one here has got some girth to it. Not that terribly long, but look how thick and healthy this smallmouth here is. 20 1/4. 4 pounds, 8 ounces.
All right.
That's a beauty. That right there is the reason you come to Del Hollow. Catch you big fish like that. Thank you, buddy. Away he goes. If you have some luck this deer season and you're looking for a new way to prepare it, why not give jerky a try? Because who doesn't love jerky? So today I'm back in my hometown of Mount Washington. I'm here with Sandy Lentz. And Sandy, about 30 years ago, you made some deer jerky for me that changed my way of thinking about deer jerky. It was very unique in a lot of ways. And today we're gonna make that deer jerky. And I bet it'll be just as good as it was 30 years ago.
Well, I hope.
Tell me a little bit about the jerky that you make. And there's one thing that's really unique about it, and that is how you actually dry it.
Well, I dry it in my oven.
You dry it in the oven?
Dry it in the oven, Don't have a dehydrator, and I think it's quicker, really, to me.
You also have a recipe that you make your marinade out of that is really smoky and it's salty, and it's got a lot of flavor. It's really, really good. And I want you to show me how I can make that at my house.
Okay, it's not hard. It's not hard at all. Takes about 15 ingredients. Mix them all up and put your meat in there and marinate it for 24 hours.
What type of cuts do you like to use?
I use shoulders, roasts, tenderloin, steak even. You know, anything you can cut in strips like 3 to 4 inches long and about 1 inch wide.
You've already done some steps here. You've taken some shoulder and some backstrap, and you've cut this deer up into strips, right? So once you get this all cut up, what do you got here? A couple pounds, probably?
Yes, and that's
pounds?
what the recipe calls for, is 2 pounds.
2 pounds, okay. So once you get your meat all cut and it's in 1/4-inch strips, what's the next process?
Okay, the next is I mix up my batch of marinade.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, and I use this little recipe that you remember.
I've seen this recipe before.
So we're gonna use 1.5 teaspoons of the salt.
All right, 1.5 teaspoons of salt.
And I usually do the dry ingredients first. Onion salt is 1 teaspoon.
Now we need garlic salt.
And that calls for 1 teaspoon also.
1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Got to have all the peppers in there if you like.
It calls for a lot of pepper. Let's see.
1/4 of red pepper. Now we need 1 teaspoon of white pepper. There you go.
Okay.
1/2 teaspoon of meat tenderizer. 1 teaspoon celery salt, yep. Now we're gonna move to the wet ingredients, which starts with lemon juice. 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. 1 teaspoon of, there it is, kitchen bouquet, whatever that is.
You didn't know what it was. But I think that gives it a lot of that dark.
Now, 1/3 cup of water. All right, 1/3 cup of barbecue sauce. All right.
That's about right. And then I gotta go on the spoon.
Yeah, that's not gonna wanna come out of there real quick, is it? Now, 1/3 cup of Worcestershire sauce.
It seems like a lot, doesn't it?
You know what though? We're gonna soak a lot of meat in here. 2 pounds already sliced up. Takes quite a bit. We need 1/3 cup of soy sauce.
And I think there's 1 left.
And now we just need the liquid smoke.
Okay.
It already smells like jerky. As soon as you crack the
that's
lid
exactly
of this,
right,
it says,
isn't
man, this is jerky.
So,
All right, now once you get that done, you're gonna mix this all up really good.
make sure it's mixed up good.
So you just start laying that in and mixing it in there.
Get my bigger ones first if I can, you know, because it cooks more evenly if you've got them all the same size.
So I know you really like jerky, and your family really likes to eat jerky. You've been making this for a long, long time. But something you haven't been doing for a long, long time is hunting, but this is your deer, isn't it?
This is my deer. That's exactly right. My first deer.
Your first deer, you started deer hunting last year, right?
I did. All right, I think that's about 2 pounds, and that's really all you need. I can just make more when...
Make more later on, okay. So once you get this all mixed up in there and it's completely coated, now what do you do?
Well, I'm gonna put a lid on it, and it's gonna go in the refrigerator for 24 hours.
Okay.
And every now and then I go in there and shake it or stir it up.
Okay.
And that's all it is till you wait your 24 hours, and then you start hanging it and drying it.
Well, let's get it in the refrigerator.
All right.
All right, so you already have some that has been marinating for 24 hours, right?
I do. This
All
was
right. Well, let's take this over here and we'll look at the next step here.
So the next thing you do is you're going to squeeze some of this excess juice out of it, because you don't want it dripping in your oven.
Okay.
Too much. I mean, it's going to drip some, but I just take
once
it, and
drips
these are
off
very
there.
long, so you just squeeze them out.
All right. And you're just squeezing the excess marinade off.
And lay that out in strips.
Now all our meat has been squeezed off. We've got the excess marinade off. We're ready to go to the oven.
Right.
And you got a little something you do to prep the oven for this as well, right?
I do. I usually put wax paper down because it's going to drip as you're hanging.
Okay. Well, I'll get the meat and we'll start getting the oven ready.
The strips right here where I know I won't have. All right, next step, Chad, is I just run a toothpick down about 1 inch or so because I don't want it to slide up. I do my longest strips at the back.
Okay.
And you don't want your meat touching the racks.
So you don't want any meat touching each other and none touching the rack. So you're literally just using a toothpick to suspend this meat
Exactly.
on the rack. Okay.
Now shorter ones I usually do in the front because they're going to get done first. All right, that's all there is to it.
So now once you get that in there and hung and ready to go,
I'm going to prop
you
it
just
open.
stuck that little spoon in there to keep it from closing. So you've got some airflow here.
Right.
Okay.
And we're going to turn it on, and the lowest setting you can turn it on. Mine's only goes to 175.
All right. All right. If you have an oven that'll go to 165 or 1.
If you can go lower, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But now I've been doing it on 175, and in 4 to 5 hours, it's pretty good.
Well, Sandy, it's been right at 5 hours now. What do you think?
I think we could check it and see what we got. It looks like it's getting done.
Here, I'll get this pan out here.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to start pulling them out then, Chad.
All right. Man, they smell fantastic.
It's hard to pull the rack out because you're going to done with that now. And
So as you can tell, it's a little bit brittle, but it's done all the way through.
all right, and then the only thing I have to do is just remove those toothpicks and.
Well, get your bowl over here. We'll start
Ready
taking
to-
toothpicks out.
Alrighty, we'll get her finished. There we go.
All right.
First batch is done there.
Now, think it's ready to try?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give it a little piece here. Want to try a piece?
Alrighty.
It looks great. Exactly how I remember it. I can't wait.
good.
I can't wait to put some in a baggie on my next fishing trip. I highly recommend giving this a try. You don't need to have a dehydrator. You can do it right there in the oven, and it makes great jerky. Thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Pre-
Well, you're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Now let's check in and see who else has been out having fun in this week's Ones That Didn't Get Away. Here we have Ryan Asher with his very first squirrel that was taken on his family farm in Grant City, Kentucky. Ryan used a .22 rifle. Congratulations. Here we have 10-year-old JC Bunch with their very first deer that was taken on the first day of youth season in Laurel County. Here we have a nice red deer that was caught by Charlie Gibbs of E-Town, Kentucky. This fish was caught at Kentucky Lake. Nice fish. Here we have a nice catfish that was caught on Nolan Lake by Samantha and Sadie Burgeon. They were fishing with their grandfather, Kevin Large. Check out this impressive 10-point buck that was taken by 14-year-old Baxter Fauntleroy. Nice job. Modern firearm deer season is now in. If you're hitting the woods, make sure you wear your hunter's orange, and if you're in a tree, make sure you wear your safety harness. And remember, Hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Until next week, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.